Hi, my name is Chris Doran, the voice of Schroeder on Charlie Brown's Christmas, and I am the next guest on Screen and Beyond.
On Screen and Beyond, an inside look into the entertainment world featuring interviews with people from the movie, TV, and music industry, news on upcoming TV and DVD releases, and the rumor mill. And now, here's the host of On Screen and Beyond, Brian Zemrak.
Thank you for stopping by for another edition of On Screen and Beyond. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak, and this is episode 763 of the show that keeps you updated on what's coming your way as far as upcoming new movies, remakes, sequels, TV and movie DVD releases, as well as our interview segment with a guest from the movie, TV, or music industry. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak, and this is, our last episode before Christmas. So I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And, as you can tell, I'm not up as far as the weather. I am a little cold here, got a cold, and gonna struggle through and do this one quickly to try to get right into the interview. And like last week, I've had this cold, and I'm just trying to get through. So I hope you're all doing well, though. But we have got a lot of things going on. And for the new year, 2026, and we will get those coming your way in the new season. But I wanted to finish up this year with another special edition of On Screen and Beyond, and also turn around and give you last week's. We had Peter Robbins, who was the voice of Charlie Brown on A Charlie Brown's Christmas. And I figured we'd have redo this one here with Schroeder, who was Christopher Doran. And he gave us an interview a while back, and I think you would enjoy this one. And it's, sort of connects the two together because they're both from Charlie Brown Christmas, and hope you had a chance to see it this year. But we have a lot coming our way. So let's get into this interview. And next week, I'm going to try before the end of the year, like I had said last week, that we would try to get a final episode of the year in honoring all the people who had been past guests on Screen and Beyond and who had passed away in 2025. Not sure if I'll get to that. We'll see how I feel. But hope you'll enjoy this one. It is Christopher Doran, right here, Schroeder, on Screen and Beyond. Today on Screen and Beyond, we are joined by a voice actor who we all hear each year around Christmas in the beloved Christmas special, A Charlie Brown Christmas. He voiced the role of Schroeder. It's Christopher Doran. Christopher, welcome to On Screen and Beyond.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Now, do you prefer Chris or Christopher?
Most people call me Chris. That's fine.
Okay, Chris. It's a pleasure to have you on because even though you don't sound, you sound nothing like you did back then. I'll tell you that right now.
That's for sure. Yes, a couple of things have changed in those years.
Yeah. So, but every year now, do you watch A Charlie Brown Christmas every year?
At this point, it's not something that I will go out of my way to see. I think inevitably I tend to run across it, or I get a mention from one of my daughters about it. So this is an odd year because for the first time, it won't be on television. It's only available through Apple Plus.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be involved with a special like that is, just so loved?
It's something that at the time, I can promise you that nobody, absolutely nobody involved in that project had any idea that this would take place. So as time has progressed, and it has been something that people have truly enjoyed, and it's a part of their holiday celebration, and they share with their families, it has been a gratifying feeling. It's good to know that you've however you managed to do it, you've done something that's been something joyful and nice for people to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, how old were you when you did the voice recordings?
I was in 5th grade. So where's that put me? About 10, I'm going to guess.
Okay.
And it was an interesting way that came about. If you've done your research, you probably researched how Lee Mendelsohn had gone about the project of trying to find voices and put the whole Charlie Brown thing together. And it turned out that they wanted authentic kid voices. They didn't want child actors, if you will. They wanted it to come across as the way the kids sound. Mm-hmm. So they were somewhat perplexed in trying to find out, and they were looking and not having a lot of success. When at one point, Lee Mendelsohn was also the Cub Scout master for his son, Glenn, and a number of other kids. And he just had a moment where he's sitting there and goes, oh, man, there's a bunch of kids here. Why don't I voice test them? So he asked a number of kids in the group to give it a try, and nobody involved really knew that much about it. Being kids, what am I doing? Why am I doing this type of thing? So they had some kind of just, voice checks, and I happened to be one of the people that they selected.
So he didn't even put his son in?
No, he did, I believe, put his daughter in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Karen. Okay, I see it right here in front of me.
And so he had tested, just a number, and then, this person he felt would be good for this role or this role or this role. So when we started off, nobody really felt that, didn't really know what you were doing with it.
Yeah. So you were not an actor.
No.
You had never done anything, and then they just turned around. At 10 years old, how did you think, how did you feel when all of a sudden they say, oh, you're going to do an animated movie or show?
Well, it was interesting because at that, back at that time, the way that Charlie Brown Christmas came about was that I want to say it was one of the companies, I almost want to say it was like Hostess or something. What they would do is they would ask somebody to make a show so that they could sponsor it. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they were approaching and wanted to see if there was something to be done with Peanuts. And Lee Mendelsohn said, absolutely we can do it. He hadn't checked with Charles Schultz yet, but he said yes, okay? And so then he went and he talked to Charles Schultz about it, and he came on board for the idea, and they started to work on how to make this all come to life. You have to remember that Peanuts was really a cartoon strip, so it wasn't animated. How are you going to bring these characters to life was going to be somewhat of a interesting challenge. And so that's what they were setting out to do, and I think it was meant to only show once, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And look at what it's done. I mean, it's crazy.
Yes, it is.
Jeez.
So being young, you were really not too sure what any of this was going to be or what it meant. You just knew that at some point it would be on TV. And then it was, and you sit with your family and think that's pretty cool. But then after that is what I think is really magic about it, is it just took on a life of its own. And so people wanted to see it again, and they were clamoring for it. So stations would continue to show it, and it expanded in where it was seen. So it was actually seen all over the world. Yeah,
and that was really the start of all the Peanut specials, correct?
Correct. Yes. I did voice, I want to say, Shermie in at least one other of the Peanuts shows as well. But then tragedy struck as I reached puberty. My voice changed. So went out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, I've had a couple of voice actors from the Charlie Brown Christmas, in fact, or from other Charlie Brown specials, and they all say that it's a very short life on that.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel being, you're 10 years old, so, I don't know if you were thinking of girls at that time, but, basically your character was the love interest of Lucy.
Yes. I did not, at that time, think that much into it, okay? It wasn't that, I wasn't that much engaged into it, because they're doing the recording and you're just reading your lines and you're not seeing the whole picture of how they're going to pull it all together. Mm-hmm. But it was a thing that you felt was fun to do when you're doing it, of course. But I just didn't feel like I had any expectations on it being, certainly not taking on the life that it ended up doing.
Yeah, yeah. So now, of course, when they do recordings now, sometimes they do them at home, sometimes they have
Correct.
2 people, sometimes they have a group of people. How was it? Did they have like 10 kids in a...
No, in this case, they broke it up. They did the recordings. Lee Mendelson came over to our house. We didn't live too far away from him, and we just sat down down in my room, and he'd walk me through and say, okay, here's what's going to happen, and here's the lines that you would like to do, and we'd do the lines, and he'd record it. And so I was there, although others went into a studio for their lines. I think that would be more a couple of the other main characters.
So you actually, he recorded at home, what, on like a reel-to-reel back then?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. You could never tell.
No, it turned out just fine, and so it wasn't until many years later that they had like an anniversary celebration of Charlie Brown Christmas, and they had us go down to L.A. and have an event together that I actually got a chance to be face to face with many of the other people that were involved with that project.
So you never even saw any of the other kids, like Peter Robbins or...
No. We didn't see any of the other characters until we did that anniversary get together.
Wow, that must have been weird.
It was interesting. I actually found all the people to be each of them was really nice. It was interesting. The comment that they all came away with was they're really proud to be a part of something that was like this. It wasn't an intended consequence, but it just had a magic all its own. And I think all of them shared that sense of it. They were happy that they were a part of it.
Yeah. Well, I was reading some stuff, and it was saying that the producers were actually kind of wondering if it would even be shown, because it didn't have a laugh track, which everything has.
Correct.
And it's not your typical Christmas special, even now or then, because it actually had a religious undertone to it.
You're right.
And
they ran into a lot of headwinds in terms of this, and both in terms of the network, whether they felt comfortable in doing something like this, or as you mentioned, no laugh track, not using child actors in the voices. The musical score, of course, which is stellar. Mm-hmm. It was not what was traditional at that time either.
Right.
And so they had a lot of selling that they had to do to get that approved, but they stuck to their vision, and kudos to them for doing it.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more of our guests right after this short break.
The Subaru Share the Love event is on from November 20th to January 2nd. During this event, Subaru donates to charities like the ASPCA, helping support more than 142,000 animals so far. When you purchase or lease a new vehicle during the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru and its retailers will make a minimum $300 donation to charity. Visit Subaru.com/share to learn more.
I don't know if you know if it was true or not, but at one point the studio was not going to show it, but they had already done so much, or the executives rather said it wasn't going to be shown, but they had already promoted it so much that they had to.
Yeah, there was a lot of resistance to it because it wasn't fitting what they considered to be the prototypical kind of show that they'd have on. So it broke a lot of barriers, and those things, whenever that happens, it's never usually easy. But again, kudos to all of them for staying firm on what their vision was, what they wanted this to be.
Yeah. And
I think that's why we enjoy it so much now.
Yeah. And that just goes to show that the executives, no offense, but they don't know everything.
I think that's a fair statement. I think as you go on in life, what you sometimes realize is that whenever something comes along, it can be something like this. It can be an Elon Musk. It can be a Steve Jobs. Mm-hmm. They got to stay firm to their vision, and they're going to push through no matter what. But they they're bumping against the old guard, and
Yeah.
so sometimes that's not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah. There again, I don't know if you'll know this, but did Charles Schultz have a lot of input into it?
Yeah, he actually. What was interesting, the thing I recall the most is initially he had a lot of trepidation about this. Okay, it was because it was changing from the two-dimensional format of a cartoon strip, which is has its own art form in terms of how it's put together, and then nobody had done this before. Nobody had converted something into an animated TV show off of a cartoon strip. So he wanted to make sure that the characters that really mattered to him translated across and worked well. One of the things that came out of it was, if we'll all know, that nobody ever hears an adult voice in the Charlie Brown.
Yeah, wah, 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 wah.
Exactly. That was important to him to kind of maintain this child's view, this child's world of what was going on. So again, they were looking for ways. They were perplexed. So how do we have the teacher do this, or what can we do if there's an adult? And so they were kind of trying to figure it out and innovate this as they went along.
Mm-hmm. It's just amazing that it is held so strong, and you watch it, and it's not dated. It's almost like they could have made it last year.
Yeah, I think that's again a tribute to what they wanted to accomplish, because it resonates with everybody, and it sticks on message, and it's something that we can all understand. It's something we can all appreciate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is timeless.
Yeah. Besides the reunion that you had, have you ever been, friends with any of the other people who were involved with the project?
I was actually friends with Glenn Mendelsohn, Lee's son, and Glenn has gone on and kind of taken on his dad's business and oversees licensing and rights and everything else to all of this stuff. So we'll stay in touch on occasion. And but no, the others, everybody was so far flung, and then given over time, you're just onto your own things. We haven't necessarily stayed in touch.
Yeah. Well, did they do anything for the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, that's I think what I went down for.
That's
and
the one. Okay.
It was also that they were having a new cast of kids at this point, though. That they were child actors that were going to be taking on new Peanuts animated cartoons. So we had a chance to meet those young kids that were going to be doing it. It was good to see everybody, good to see Lee Mendelsohn and other people that were responsible for all of this. But that was a fun thing to be a part of.
Hey, this is Barry Livingston. I'm on Screen and Beyond.
So when you had the voices done, was there any possibility, like you said, you did Shermie in another one?
Correct. Right.
But was there a chance, were any of the others specials made before your voice changed?
Like I said, Shermie, I did Shermie, and I want to say I did one other as well. So, I think the success of Charlie Brown Christmas is what had them decide to go into, let's do something else. We'll do Thanksgiving, we'll do Halloween, we'll do others. So the success on Charlie Brown Christmas is what caused those others to happen. And so, by that time being about a couple of years later, I'm, going through puberty at that point. So I'm out.
Yep.
So, that's short career, but, no, and so what was interesting was that what was interesting is it wasn't meant to be what it ended up being. It wasn't, they weren't deciding, well, we're going to have this wonderful franchise that we're going to build upon and do all this other stuff. It just came out of it organically.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it's fascinating to hear what you have told us about the making of the movie, or not the movie, but the TV show and everything.
Hi, this is Dave Thomas on Screen and Beyond.
I'd like to finish up with two final questions.
Sure.
And everybody tells me this is the toughest one I asked, so I don't know. You decide that. But taking us away from a Charlie Brown Christmas, but when you sit back and relax now, what do you watch on TV now and in the past? What are your favorite TV shows now and of the past? And what are your favorite movies now and of the past?
Wow. Okay. That is a tough one. In the past, I think like so many people, television's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think growing up when I was young, Star Trek would be, we all watched those 60s shows, and you'd see all these other things, and that was, outer space and all this other stuff was very fascinating to me growing up. And so those are, obviously still big things today. So I get a kick out of it watching my daughters watching Star Trek reboots and all this other stuff, and you think back to when they all started.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what I watch today, again, I've been in the entertainment business with movies for over 30 years, so I've seen a lot of things, and I can go anywhere in range from something like serious dramas. It could be Last Mile, it can be, Braveheart, it can be Saving Private Ryan. Go through a whole list of those.
Mm-hmm.
I could sit down. I absolutely cannot pass John Wick movies when I see them.
Really? Yeah.
So I'm all over the map in terms of what I enjoy and what I watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to keep open to things as much as I can.
Yeah. I got one more question. I almost forgot about this one. I had read that Jefferson Airplane wanted the autographs of all the kids who voiced the characters. Is that true?
I have heard that. It may. Well, you bring up something interesting. I have not really tracked along in this space that much in terms of. I never went out and saw this as as something to pursue. Mm-hmm. Autographs, shows, all that other stuff. So there's not much that I think I've ever done. My company will still ask me to do things, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
But there's there would be times they ask, but they were probably going to the companies and asking them. They weren't hunting me down, that's for sure.
Yeah, because what I had read was that Jefferson Airplane was recording in the same. Of course, you said you had done your recordings at your house, but
correct. But there were others that were in a studio. You're right.
And they said that next to where they were recording was Jefferson Airplane, and they wanted the autographs of all the kids. Now, why would they want that? Why I wondered is why would they want a autograph of something that hasn't even come out, and they wouldn't know if it was going to be huge,
I would lean that same way. I can tell you that everybody involved in the project had no idea what it was going to be. There's no possibility that anyone thought it was going to blow up to be what it is. It was really going to be just a one-off. For the company, I think, that makes Hostess or whatever, for them to promote their products, so it's sponsored by blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It wasn't, no one saw this coming.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the beauty of it. So it's hard to say that they would be asking for autographs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and also on behalf of the millions of people who have watched this over and over and over, I want to thank you for being part of such a great special that we watch every year.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for your time today.
Christopher Doran. Want to thank him so much for joining us here at On Screen and Beyond. And of course, like I said, that was a past interview we had done with him. I'm not sure what year it was. I didn't check it. Forgive me for that. But anyways, hope you enjoyed that. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas is something we see every year at this time. And I hope you enjoyed that. In case you hadn't seen it or heard it in the past, I hope you enjoyed that. And also, we will get back into our interviews with videos, of course, as we move into 2026. I apologize to the people who enjoy the video on YouTube. And we just haven't had, the capability. These were old interviews that we had done, and we were redoing them. And of course, they didn't have videos when we were doing those back then. So I hope you have a great Christmas and whatever else you're celebrating. And I hope you'll have a great time with your friends and families and everything else. Until then, that's a wrap for this episode of On Screen and Beyond. I'm your host, Brian Zemrak. Take care.